Hello, I'm Ann Gritch, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this segment of the oral history of the Diocese of San Jose. And with us today is Father Mark Gazzingan, who is the pastor of St. Victor Parish in San Jose. And Mark, we're delighted that you're here, especially on this Feast of St. Joseph,
thank you, yes.
the patron of our diocese.
Feast day to us.
Yes, our feast day, exactly. So, to get started, tell us a little bit about your background. You were born in the Philippines?
I was born and raised in the Philippines. I have a brother. There's only two of us, and he's also a priest. About year 2000, when I came here to the United States, 1999, the first time I came here to the United States, it was a gift from my parents for graduation in college. It was an overdue gift. I didn't get my gift on the day I graduated in 1998. So in 1999, I said, well, I would like to go and visit the place. So it so happened that my grandmother then wanted also to come along with me. She needs to go and visit her son in New York, my dad's brother, my uncle, who has been there for a long time. They have not seen each other. So that's where it all started.
Okay.
I was not expecting to get an entry to the United States because it was hard to get one, but I was, by the grace of God, was even given a multiple entry. So the first year I was here, I spent some days in New York. From there, I went here to California, and then stayed here in California for about a month, I think, and then to Chicago, and then back to the Philippines. So I was here for about 6 months.
It was the grand tour.
Yes, it was the grand tour. It was going around the United States, visiting relatives. You know, it so happened that I have relatives in almost every state, major state at that. So it was a great time. It was a great time.
I bet.
And then after 6 months, I went home. Continued my studies in Masters in Psychology at the University of Santo Tomas, and then that following year, in about 2001, my uncle in Chicago was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So there's nobody to go and help my aunt, my mom's sister, and I'm the only one who has a visa. I don't work at that time. My time is flexible because I was studying only on weekends.
You're young and energetic.
So why don't you go? Well, at that time, I have been contemplating of going back to the seminary. So I left the seminary after graduation from college. I left for 3 or 4 years, I think, and then took on the master's in psychology after a year of formation after graduation. So I took 3 years off. And then during that was around the time that I wanted to come back to the seminary and sought some spiritual direction at that time. But I had that spiritual direction needed to be cut because I have to come and help with my aunt in Chicago. So when I was in Chicago, I went through, because I was still contemplating and praying about and discerning about becoming a priest. And then my aunt said, why don't you apply in the Archdiocese of Chicago?
Oh my.
And I said, well, why not? You know, so I did. I contacted the vocation director, and they put me on the spiritual director. And then I was there for about a year, I think for about a year. And then I went for discernment week at Mundelein Seminary.
Mundelein.
So I had, yes, our seminarians are there now. So that's why when they said they're going to Mundelein, I said, oh, I've been to that place.
I know it.
So to cut the story short, I did apply for the Archdiocese of Chicago at that time. I think that was about November. I remember clearly. That was about November.
Beginning to get cold.
Yes, beginning to get cold. And I asked for release from my bishop back home in the Philippines, the bishop of the Diocese of Ilagan, Isabela, and I was given that permission to apply, and so I did. I think that was January 25, the feast of the conversion of St. Paul. I received a letter. I was out in the downtown of Chicago, and my aunt received a letter from the Archdiocese. And I said, well, I was excited. Well, open it up, you know, so we'll know what's happening. Well, unfortunately, they said we could not take you now. I don't know, for some various reasons. So I said, well, literally, you know, your world crumbles.
Exactly, because everything you're banking on.
Yeah, and everything you plan and everything you prayed about, and it seems like everything goes toward that path. So I said, well, you know what, I guess, you know, got to pray about it and all that. And then my aunt noticed that I'm getting lonely, getting depressed because of the result and all that. And he said, why don't you go to California, visit your friends over at St. Patrick's? Because I do have friends at St. Patrick's at that time. And I said, oh yeah, that would be a good idea. And so she bought a ticket for me, and I flew down here, and I stayed with my uncle in San Francisco, and I frequented St. Patrick's. And then during that frequent times at St. Patrick's, you know, Father Jojo Page have informed me, well, don't you have a pending application in the diocese? And I was like, well, yeah, that's right. I remember I did apply to the diocese before.
Of San Jose.
Of San Jose.
Ah.
Before coming to the United States, I have a pending application. I submitted my application, and the requirement that they had then was to have a relative in the area. And I do have a relative in the area on Blossom Hill. My grand aunt lives there, and they said, well, that's okay, grand aunt. So when you come over, you know, you just let us know so we can interview you. So I had nobody come to the Philippines and interview me about it. They waited for me to come here. So I forgot about it. I totally forgot about it. It was Mark Catalana then, God rest his soul, who was our vocation director. That was February, so I went and I emailed, and I said, Father Mark then emailed me back and said, well, I see you when you come here in February. And so I met with him. And then he put me onto the other series of 3 other priests to interview me. One of them is, the first interview I had was St. Victor's Church with Father Lim.
Oh yeah, Candido Lim.
Father Candido Lim. That was my first interview. The second one is with Saint Justin's with Father Joe Galang. And then the third one is Father Dan Urcha, then at Saint John the Baptist. Saint John the Baptist. So the interview went well and all that. And, you know, for some reason, the next thing I know is I'm being admitted into the Diocese of San Jose. And that's how I ended up at St. Patrick's Seminary.
So Mundeline's loss was our gain.
Loss was, yes, and it was, and it was. I'm very happy looking back, and I'm very happy. You know, you see, you know, God's hands working in our lives, and we don't see it until we've gone through it.
Isn't it true? Yes. So you were at St. Patrick's. Now, when you were there were a lot of Filipino.
Oh yes, yes.
What was that like?
You know, it wasn't hard to adjust. The only hard adjustment I had then was, well, first of all, is being able to be mingled with other cultures, especially the Anglos. That means that we have to speak English 24/7, which was really a challenge for us then. But then the most challenging part actually at St. Patrick's Seminary was I was not used to being in the seminary for about 12 years of my life, of 10 years of my life. I was not used to, on weekends, you're on your own. Because we have our own room, you have your own computer, you have your TV, you have your own bathroom at St. Patrick's. So it was a treat for someone coming from the Philippines.
From a more restricted,
where you're not allowed to have TV, you're not allowed to have computer, not allowed to have cell phone and all that.
My.
But it's something that, you know, when you are there, you know, you become responsible to all those things. So you in a way you become mature in knowing and disciplining yourself with everything, and your responsibility as a student and your responsibility as well to the diocese. So it wasn't hard to adjust. The Filipino group then was really close knit. In fact, you know, even up to this day, you know, we still gather that particular group of Filipinos who were there, particularly the Diocese of Sacramento, because I've known them from back home in the Philippines, and so there's that relationship. So they kind of guided me through that process of getting adjusted and getting settled into the St. Patrick's Seminary, and eventually here in the diocese as well. St. Patrick's Seminary is so much a mirror of the Diocese of San Jose. I mean, the composition of the people, of the different cultures, is like our diocese. So it wasn't hard for me really to adjust in our diocese here. They're very welcoming. When I first came in, and admitted as a seminarian, we had a barbecue at Arviso with Father Brown.
Oh, Father Steve Brown.
Father
Yes,
Steve Brown.
Yes, Our Lady Star of the
Our
Sea.
Lady Star of the Sea. So we had our we did have our what's this? We had our barbecue in there, introduced it. That's when I got to know the other Filipino priests, the other seminarians as well.
So you spent your pastoral year at Sacred Heart Parish in Saratoga, where I assume there were not too many Filipinos.
No, there wasn't. It's only 2 or 3, I think, that I know.
What did you learn during that year?
No, that was really the most, I would say, memorable part of my experience, information. Monsignor Al Larkin is truly a great supervisor.
I can imagine.
A great supervisor. And I remember he tells me, it's always good to go out and greet the people before and after Mass, because you get to know them. You can chit-chat with them a little bit, but you get to know them. And I did, and I was able to get to know the people of Sacred Heart in Saratoga. And it was really a great feeling that, being welcome as a part of their community at that time. And I would say I still know some of them over there. But it was great. Monsignor Larkin really did give a great supervisor. We all know what happened while I was there with all the accusations and all that. But that put truly two things in me: a positive impact and a negative impact. The positive impact for me is, one is, just being there for Monsignor Larkin. Just being there, listening and showing your support. The kind of camaraderie among priests that I'm hoping that will be given to all priests. That kind of camaraderie I felt. And also with that, the people truly love you.
Yeah.
The people loves you regardless, because they don't see the bad or the accusations that they have that was put on you, but they see the very many good things that you have done to them.
Right.
And I think, and I saw that from the people. The negative impact on me, however, was really, even up to now, the fear of relating with minors and with children.
Sure.
And that really has put me, it's hard for me, to be honest. It's hard to get past that. It's hard to get past that.
I've heard many priests say that, how careful they feel they need to be, that they're monitoring their actions. And that's a sadness, I think.
Yes.
That's a real loss.
Yes. Because even in the school, when you go, you just have to distance yourself much as you want to relate. You have to distance yourself because it brings back that unfortunate things that had happened over in the parish where I was.
Sure.
The parish where I was. So.
The other thing, too, I was just thinking to myself as you were talking, you were in a parish with strong lay leadership, particularly Liz Lilly.
Yes. And she did follow up a great deal on that one after Monsignor Larkin went on that leave. But she was just there, and I think we worked together. We work very well together.
She thinks very highly of you.
We work very well together, and I did learn a lot from her as well. And we all know what happened the following year after that, and everything that happened after. So, but it's been, the things that I experienced during that time, I would say, made me first really commit to my ministry, and know that I have the support of people around me, and to be grateful for those people around you.
So you were ordained in 2007.
That seems like a long time ago. 2007.
Now, what was your first assignment?
St. Christopher's.
Oh, you were at St. Christopher's. And who was the pastor then?
Monsignor Jim Walsh.
Oh, you were with Monsignor
Jim
Walsh. Yes. So he was a mentor?
He was a mentor and a friend, a great, great friend. And I remember in my first year there, I believe I was their first newly ordained priest being assigned in that parish. Because Monsignor Walsh said, I've never wanted to have a newly ordained because you just have to train them and to guide them and all
It's
that.
a lot of work.
So it's a lot of work. That is why when I came over, he made me the head of the liturgy. and I would say that he made me go through everything. You know, what I mean by that is he made me commit my mistake and let me learn from the mistakes that I have done.
Yeah, that would be very much Monsignor Walsh.
And yeah, and he will always say, then, you know, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. And then, you know, you listen because he's your mentor, which is why I believe we had a very good relationship with Monsignor Walsh during that time. It was a great time. It was a great first assignment. They always say, you'll never forget your first assignment. And I will never forget my first assignment. Even up to this day, I still connect with some of the parishioners at St. Christopher's. It is a parish where I've learned the people's name by first name and last name.
And the kids.
And names, the kids, because it was just different. And
it's a very stable parish. People have been there for a long time.
They have been there for a long time, and then their family, you know, stay there. Their children would stay there. They always go back.
Yeah. We have two who are going to be ordained deacons from St. Christopher.
Yes. Phil and Dick.
Yes. Did you know them?
Oh, I know them from, I was the one who told them that you should apply for diaconate.
Well, they did.
I told them that.
That's wonderful.
They're part of the liturgy committee.
Ah, okay. Well, they're going to be ordained very soon.
Yeah, very soon.
So that's wonderful. Now, you have a brother who's also a priest of the Diocese of San Jose. What's that like?
You know, one of the reasons,
the Gazzingan fathers.
One of the reasons why I applied here in the United States and to the Diocese of San Jose was he's older than I am. Well, not quite old, but, you know, a few years older than a year older than I am. One of the things is I've always lived under his shadow. I've always following his steps.
Younger brother.
The younger brother. I've always followed his steps. So I said, you know what? You know, I just want to be away and to be my own self. You know, to be my own self. And so so I did. And so when he came over here, Monsignor Fran jokes me a lot and he said, "Oh, is it Mark's brother or Michael's brother?" So I said it's the other way around. It's Mark's brother. So it's been good because I get that support from him. I've been here with him longer than he is. So
you're senior to him that way.
I'm senior to him in that way, and he seems to listen to me now, to get on the record. But he seems to listen to me now more than before, but I still respect him as an elder brother, of course.
Well, I have a story to tell you that he does respect you. He is now at St. Thomas Aquinas, which is my parish. So the first Sunday that he arrived, he was preaching at St. Albert the Great, which is the worship center where I go to Mass. And he mentioned that he had gotten the call to come to St. Thomas Aquinas from, I think he was at Francis Cabrini at the time, and that he really didn't kind of want to move, and that he went and talked to his younger brother, who was very helpful. So I want you to know that.
Well, I'm glad he knows. But it's been great having a brother here, because we do support each other and all that, and he, you know, it kind of not makes you feel homesick at all, because you know somebody, immediate family is there. So
yeah, because that's unusual to have two priest brothers, so that's quite wonderful. So in 2013, I think, is when you were, was that when you were named pastor of St. Victor?
I think it was, I was called in December of 2013, yes, December, and I went on board in January of 2014.
And you followed a very long-lived pastor, right? Father Parada?
No, it's Father Parada and then Father Michael.
That's right.
Father Michael for about 5 years.
Father Michael Hendrickson. That's right. I had forgotten that. Yeah, because Father Parada had been there for years and years and years. Right. So, what were some of the challenges as a first pastorate?
Well, the first challenge for me then is I was doing ADA.
Well, that's right. It's January.
It was January.
Oh, dear.
So the first act I had as a pastor was to ask money from the people.
And St. Victor had a reputation for always making
for always
its
make, and
AD
we did,
exceeding
and we made it. We made it exceedingly. They were very good even up to now. I believe the challenge really is. I'm enjoying my stay there.
Good.
I'm very much enjoying my stay. The challenge that I had then was really not so much in the ministry part, but the administration part in the school, because I was in charge also the administration of the school at that time. So that was the part where I find it challenging. But all the ministry part, the staff is great. The St. Victor Parish staff is great, and those are not a challenge to get along with them and all that. But it's that part in the school part where I found it really very challenging at that time.
Yeah,
So,
I can imagine. What are some of the joys?
well, the joys is really, they see you as, well, the joy is they see you as their father figure, even with the older generation, and they see that in you, and they give you that respect. And that joy comes from, not that I say, well, they respect me and all that, but it's the joy of being welcomed by them. And ideas being welcomed by old-time parishioners coming from a younger priest. And that kind of joy, being able to mingle with them, being able to talk to them and openly, being able to journey with them was really a joy for me. And I find that that joy really increasing as I get to know them even deeply, my parishioners, to be able to serve them, and when they come up to you and ask for some advice, and they value your insights and all that, that gives that joy in serving. That gives that joy in serving.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So kind of moving away from the parish, how do you see the future of the Church of San Jose? What are the challenges we're facing? What are our strengths? What do you think?
I think the main challenge that I see it to be would be the growing population of our Vietnamese community and the Spanish community, and the need really to be able to minister to them. In all levels, to be able to minister to them in all parishes, I must say.
Yeah.
Because in every parish where we go to, there is that growing number of our Hispanics, the Latinos, as well as the Vietnamese parishioners, and to be able to minister to them. It doesn't. To get ministries from them, get vocation from them, of course, but also as the other priests being able to minister to them as well. I think that is the challenge that I see.
Cross-cultural lines.
Yes, that's a challenge I see for us. Having not known, I don't know any Spanish, I don't know any Vietnamese, of course, but that kind also. But also to take into mind as well the parishioners with disabilities, families with having children or family members with disabilities. How do we minister to them? How do we get to minister and to support them as well in our ministry? And I think those I see as a challenge for the future of our church. And I think a more more dedicated, or classes dedicated for Spanish class or Vietnamese class or any special ed class that we need to go through to understand our parishioners would be something that's really helpful.
See that as part of formation?
The part of formation, yes.
Yeah, or even ongoing education?
Ongoing education and part of the formation as well.
What do you see as our strengths as a diocese?
One thing is we are a small diocese. And the support that you get from the priest, that's one thing that I give a hands down to our diocese, because I feel that the support from other priests, talking to other friends who are from a different diocese. I mean, the support and the camaraderie of our priests is different. We are much closer to one another than I would say than any other diocese. Not only in a cultural aspect, but in other cultures as well. We just integrate well with one another. talking well to one another and being able to help one another in their ministries.
I know we lay people have felt the same thing when we've been visiting other dioceses and come home and thank God that we are in San Jose.
Yes.
And particularly what you were saying, that we're small geographically, but we're compact.
We're compact.
And so we know each other, we run into each other, which is just wonderful.
Yeah, and also one thing is the ILM class, which is growing.
Yeah.
It gives opportunity for the lay to really engage and to be part of the ministry. And I think that has changed a lot in the past when the priest or the religious had to do everything.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing about it, the ILM is to help us in our ministry, to be there present and helping us in our ministry. So it was the presence of the lay. In our,
well-educated,
yes.
who had their own vocation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, what else should we be talking about?
I don't know what else you
right.
got for me.
Now, this has been quite wonderful. Yes, especially just talking with a younger priest you were made pastor at a fairly early age.
I was 4 years as a priest.
Yeah,
I think.
so and of course that's happening more and more now
more
too.
And more, yes,
right.
Yes.
But it is a challenge, and from what I understand, you have certainly risen to it. So congratulations.
Thank you. And it's been great. I mean, all support coming from the parishioners and from the diocese as well. The support that you get from them. So
great. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. This has been wonderful.
Thank you too, Anne. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.